So welcome back to another edition of Championship Rugby League with Craig Lingard. Craig, good evening to you.
How are we doing, mate? You all right?
I'm very, very well indeed. Before we get into the wonders that is the Championship, I'm sure you'd like to pass on your congratulations to the quadruple winners, Hull KR. What a fantastic spectacle for Rugby League that was on Thursday night.
Oh, absolutely, mate. I mean, we were training Thursday night, so we caught the second half on the way home from training, and you think the game's pretty much done and dusted, don't you? And then Brisbane being Brisbane, come back and push it right to the wire as well. But you're really pleased for Hull KR that managed to hold on and do Super League proud and the game in the UK proud as well.
Absolutely, mate. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get to the serious end of Rugby League and back down to the Championship. And after a 2-week on a sunbed or whatever it is you do when you've got a bit of downtime, Craig, you were back and back with a bang against the unbeaten Barrow Raiders, and you did them well.
Yeah, really pleasing, mate. We're not a massively polished performance from us with ball in hand. You know, we're still learning and trying to gel and connect with each other. And I mentioned last week, the sort of sporadic nature of our game so far this season hasn't really helped, particularly in that respect. But massively pleasing to get a victory against a really tough, resilient and quality Barrow side. You know, 3 out of 3, 108 points scored, 4 points conceded for us to get that victory. It's a massive step forward for us as a new group.
Absolutely. And now, of course, 2 out of 2 for you. I have to say, it was a lovely spin and score, wasn't it, from Joel Farrell to get you underway. He took that very nice.
Yeah, he did. I think Josh Hodgson did pretty well as well to get that ball away on the last tackle, keep it alive. And, you know, Joel picked the ball up and managed to pirouette his way over and get us on the scoreboard nice and early and just, I guess, settle a few early game nerves. And, you know, we had to withstand a little bit of pressure from Barrow. And I think if they'd taken a couple of their chances in the first half, it could have been a little bit different. But, you know, really pleased with our goal line D, the desperation that we showed on our goal line to prevent a quality team like Barrow scoring more points.
Yeah, was it 2? Was it 2 hold-ups as a part of that passage of play? It was at least 1 or 2, I think.
Yeah, there were a few, mate. And I think we turned the ball over pretty cheaply at times and didn't really have any field position, you know, so we were defending more in our 20 than in the opposition 20. So that's something that we need to rectify and remedy so we're not defending our goal line as much as we need to do.
Yeah, and you must have been relieved, obviously, when Matty got the score to take you to 16-6. That took a little bit of pressure off, didn't it, at that point? And then from there on in, you got the job done. Yeah,
we did. Really pleased for Matty Marsh. You know, he spent a lot of time out of the game last year through injury, and he's had a real good pre-season. He's looked like a different player and a different bloke, and I think that'll take a lot of pressure off Marsh. You know, it puts a lot of pressure on himself and his performances. And for a full-back, you know, you need to be scoring tries and creating tries for your teammates as well. So I think it'll take a lot of pressure off Matty and a lot of weight off his shoulders just to get that first try of the season for him.
Yeah, fantastic. Really pleased for you, mate. Yeah, 2 from 2. I sent you the gauntlet last week. I said, hey, can you be in the playoff places by the time we come back here next week? And lo and behold, you've gone and done it. So now the next is, can you get into the top 4? You know, I keep pushing you, Craig. I'll keep pushing you every week, mate. Let's move across to Swinton. Before we get into a comfortable win, 84 points to 6 for the London Broncos, I just want to, for those who didn't see it, I was really taken with the social media post that Swinton Lions put out last week in readiness for this London game, and I just want to read it verbatim because I think this is quite a statement for Championship clubs in general, and I'd love to get your view on this. Basically, they released a statement, probably expecting a bloody nose against London, and just coming out on the front foot in terms of their stewardship of the club. And it went a little bit like this. If paying our players, staff, taxes and pension contribution on time is failure, then we've failed. If maintaining our respect and credibility amongst our fellow clubs and governing body is a failure, then we've failed. If building a strong network of sponsors and partners is a failure, then we've failed. If building one of the most respected foundations outside of Super League is failure, then we've failed. If building trust and respect with senior politicians across Swinton, Salford and Manchester is failure, then we have failed. If putting the club into a stable and respected position so that we can look to attract the investment necessary to take us forward is failure, then we failed. If putting the process in place that we pray will finally bring Swinton home after 33 years is failure, then we've failed. If very proudly building one of the strongest women's team in the country and one that hasn't cost the parent club a penny is nothing more than a distraction, as some believe, then we have failed. I mean, it goes and it goes on. And basically what they do is they basically say, yeah, at this moment in time, on the field of play, it's not where we want it to be. But for Swinton to be here in the long run, we have to run the club profitably and credibly. And I thought that was a brilliant statement from Swinton. And it is the mantra that all clubs should follow.
100%, mate. I think we touched on it a little bit over the last couple of weeks with Swinton about realistic goals and realistic achievements and aims for them this season, and progressing longer term as well. And I think that openness from the club is pretty welcoming, really. You know, they know where they are on the field at this moment in time, and it's getting that balance right of understanding as a supporter, understanding, yeah, you want your team to win, but they are developing from the roots, from the foundation. You know, we can't have many more clubs or any more clubs like a Featherstone and a Halifax and a Salford. You know, so if getting these foundations right from now and building for the long-term future, that's got to be the best thing that they can do. You know, there's no point in them going out and spending loads and loads of money that they've not got to win a couple of extra games on the field for what? You know, there's no automatic promotion relegation to Super League. So for a club like Swinton, who's got a big history in the game and wants a big future in the game, they've got to get everything right away from the field of play. Yeah, it's got to go hand in hand eventually and at some point. But I think what they're doing off the field so far, looking at getting themselves back into Swinton as well and developing the club as an actual whole, not just the first team of Rugby League, and developing these younger players. And with younger players, you get inconsistency. You know, you're going to get some games, some weeks where they might get a win or two and look really, really good. And then they might look absolutely awful. They might get beat by 70 or 80 points, as happened last week against a quality side. And I guess if you look at the disparity between salaries that London are paying and what Swinton are paying, then there's absolutely no reason why Swinton should be challenging a team like London. You know, so I think you've got to have that realism about where you are as a group and what you can potentially achieve on the field. But I think what Swinton are doing off the field and looking at building the club as a whole, I think it's commendable.
Yeah, I was really taken by the whole statement. And I think because of what's happened at Halifax and at Featherstone, I think for Swinton to come out and lay bare where their priorities are at this moment in time, you've got to build those foundations in order to kick on, as you said. And I thought it was an exemplary report. From a perspective of the game, it was a very, very simple win in the end for London, 84 points to 6. There's probably not an awful lot either team are going to get out of that, really. Well, certainly not London. But, I mean, from a Swinton perspective, it probably battle-hardened them a little bit, I suppose. But it is what it is, isn't it? It was a pretty straightforward day at the office for the Broncos.
Yeah, it was. And I think, realistically, if you're a Swinton player or a Swinton member of staff, you don't look at that fixture and think it's going to be a win. You know, you're looking at other fixtures in the fixture list and thinking, right, these are the games that we need to be targeting, these are the games that we need to be highlighting and trying to pick up as many points as you can. And I don't think last week's game would have been one of them.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let's go across to Rochdale. 42-60 feet to the hands of Hunslet and one Bureta Faraimo, who, of course, people will remember from his Castleford days. I think did he leave as you arrived at Castleford?
He was there in my last season. I went over as assistant coach, and he was there in that last season, and then moved on from there.
That's right. And of course, in one game, he's gone to the top of the try-scoring charts in the championship. I mean, you'd be forgiven for thinking his second try was a replay of the first. The two scrum moves, well executed from Hunslet, got them well and truly on the front foot. I mean, you've got to feel sorry for Dan Nixon, haven't you? He had a torrid time against Bureta, and as you say, ended up going off on a stretcher. Bless him.
Yeah, he did. It's he's a quality player. He's 5 tries in that one game. The strength and the power that he's got and the finishing ability close to the line, he's still got it, and he's still a formidable figure to be putting your body in front and stopping as well. And we've got Hunslet this week as well, so we've got that to contend with coming this Sunday. Yeah,
and of course, I think what I would say is that. The kicker Jowett did incredibly well. I mean, a lot of those tries were scored right on the sideline, and all right, 5 from 8, he missed 3, but some of the ones that he got from the left touchline, he kicked them really well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Billy Jowett is a real good goal kicker. When you're turning them 4s into 6s, it's just another dagger in the heart sometimes as a player and a coach. It can go from a 2-score to a 3-score game just because you're kicking the goals. And I think he did that really well. And Lee Gaskell as well, still showing the quality that he's got at the back end of his career. Everything the good that comes through Hunslet, taking them short sides that he does really, really well. He's really smart. You know, he's still got that rugby brain about him, and he's still a quality individual.
And of course, Bureta was there on loan from Doncaster. Before we started, did you say Doncaster's recalled him this week?
No, I don't think so.
Where they are?
I hope they have recalled him, but I'm not too sure. I think they had a week off in Doncaster this week, didn't they? So I can't imagine they've picked up any injuries. And unless they're going to play him, I would imagine that now we can do the loans on a rolling week to week basis. I would imagine they'd probably keep him out and get him some game times for when he's ready and needed for Doncaster. So with a bit of luck, they have recalled him, but we're prepping for him to be playing.
So who's going to go up against him, Joe?
Yeah, Joe Brown will be on that side.
Big week for Joe.
Look forward to it, Brownie.
Absolutely. One rises to meet a challenge, but no, well done to Bureta. I say superb individual performance, of course. It was almost Bureta against the Hornets, wasn't it? But anyway, that's another story. Oldham 12, Widnes 18. Another late try. It happened again. This time it was Ryan Ince on 77 minutes, just making sure that the job was done at that point. They were 14-12 up. Widnes, that was the one that absolutely secured the win for them. Oldham at this moment in time, obviously, we've spoke about the plight of Oldham a little bit this season. Is it starting to affect them on the field a little bit? They just seem to be, I mean, only just beaten in this one, but just seemed a little bit under where we expected them to be.
Yeah, potentially. It's hard to say. We're not being in the camp. It's you're looking from outside in. You sort of think it could be affecting them. Is it? We don't know. They've had some tough fixtures. You know, had some difficult fixtures, and we know we've seen already within the championship with some of the games that have played, they've been very, very close, and maybe some games have been a surprise with the scoreline. So I don't think there's any team's got a God-given right to go out and say that we should be 3 out of 3 or 4 out of 4, however many it might be. You know, so I think that as we've seen, that any team who's not on their A game for any of the games, they're going to get beaten. So I think they've still got unbelievable quality in their side of Oldham. So I think if they get on a bit of a run of 2 or 3 games where they can get them wins back to back, then that confidence will come back, and we'll see them flying up that table, I would imagine.
I mean, it is, isn't it? I mean, their squad is still a pretty much a who's who. A lot of former Super League players in that Oldham side. Of course, Jack Walker, rumours that perhaps Hull FC, with their injury to Will Price, are looking to bring Jack Walker back to FC. That'd be interesting if that was the case. I've always liked Jack. I think he's a really good, solid one. I've always enjoyed watching him play. But yeah, great win for Widnes. They'll be delighted with that. And again, Jordan Apple getting a lot of praise at full time. A brace for Ryan Ince in that game. Well done. And of course, this week, we'll get to this week in a minute, but it's the Battle of the Vikings, of course, Goole against Dewsbury. And Goole with another tight win. Both the Vikings having tight wins this week. Dewsbury Rams 14, Goole Vikings 16. 70-minute try in this one. So 10 minutes to go when Callum Shaw went over. And of course, the Rams very nearly picked it back. A disallowed try right at the death for Liam Copeland. It could have been very, very different for Dewsbury. Yeah,
again, that we sort of spoke about last week and said it could be a close one and go right to the death, and that's how it turned out to be. Really good win for Goole. Another team like we talked about, Swinton, that they seem to be doing everything in the right way, in the right manner, and getting some real good results out there. And I think Rochdale were 3 out of 3 before the weekend and lost, and Dewsbury 3 out of 3 before the weekend and they've lost as well. So it's that championship table now, it's evening itself out, and there's a lot of teams that are going to be congested, and I think that's why it's really important if you can get onto a bit of form and get a run of 4, 5 or 6 games where you're winning them games, then you're going to shoot straight up the table, and it's going to give you a little bit of a buffer just in case you do hit a bit of bad form in it every now and again.
Absolutely. The Battle of the Vikings, there should be loads of good marketing around that, surely, this week. It's a big one. Ollie Morgan, watch. You might be wondering why Ollie didn't play. Ollie was actually playing for KR's reserves against Warrington on Saturday. I had the privilege of bumping into Ollie. KR managed to snag him for that game, which is going to be interesting to keep an eye on. But it was a cakewalk for Warrington, 62 points to 0. The Warrington reserves looking in fine fettle, it has to be said. Keighley Cougars 56, Whitehaven 14. More woe for Whitehaven, but from a Keighley perspective, they'll be happy to have got a comfortable win and some really good attractive attacking play as well came off from on the day.
Yeah, definitely. Again, these are the fixtures that we've mentioned quite a lot now, that teams will identify these fixtures as must-win games or opportunities to win games against the teams that are potentially going to be in and around them within that championship table. And I really feel for Whitehaven at this moment in time that they're struggling to get that win. And I've watched a couple of their previous games in preparation for us playing and doing our previews as well. And I think we got them at a bad time at the start of the season. I think we got the best of Whitehaven in their first 2 games of the season. They've been a little bit inconsistent completion-wise, coming up with a lot of cheap errors as well, which isn't really helping them. And so that's what you get with a lot of inexperienced players. You can get games where they'll have great games, and you might have 2 or 3 games where they're a little bit poor, and that's where Whitehaven have been so far. So Anthony Murray, I hope he can turn that round and get some victories fairly soon. But really, really strong, convincing win for Keighley, and I'm sure they'll be looking at trying and get some consistency now where they can get some back-to-back victories.
Well, speaking of back-to-back victories and a team that's getting consistency, the Midland Hurricanes 30, Batley Bulldogs 12. I mean, Midland's Avery Fields, I don't know if they've lost there yet. I mean, it's been a great move to Avery Fields. Maybe the smell of chocolate is the best preparation. It's not far from Bourneville, is it? For games. But yeah, everybody concerned with Midland Hurricanes must be delighted with the way in which this season has started.
Yeah, I think so. I think they had that one result, didn't they, where they've been disappointed in losing. And I think looking at the highlights of the game as well, how the game went, I think they scored 2 tries in that first half that was slightly against the run of play. But I've just had a coffee with Paul Harrison from Batley, and he just said that the second half they just managed to roll Batley down the middle, and with the experienced players that they've got, Tyler Dickinson, Ollie Roberts, people like that, they were just a little bit too strong for them physically in the middle of the park. So we're tight in that first half, but I think Midlands just showed a little bit of class in that second half just to take the game away from Batley.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, it's a good story, that, in terms of obviously middle of the country. Very, very impressive. Very, very impressive indeed. I mean, it's been an interesting week this week because only those 2 Vikings games were really down to the death, and we've had so many of them in the early rounds of the championship this year thus far. Like you say, are we starting now to see maybe some of the teams just getting into the groove, and that's why we're seeing the scores maybe moving out a little bit? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think we had that chat at the start of the season, didn't we? When we're sort of thinking, well, what week of the season where teams find out where they are, and it is round about that. Around about that 5th week for me, where some teams that are now coming into the 5th week of games. We're still a couple behind that. We're just coming into week 3. So I think some teams are finding a little bit of form. Some teams are probably finding where they are in relation to the gaps in their squad, so to speak. So teams are now looking out for players to come in on loan because they're understanding where they might be a little bit undercooked in certain areas. And conversely to that, you're getting teams that are identifying where they're strong and they're starting to get that consistency in their performances.
And then we come to Newcastle Thunder. Wow. North Wales Crusaders 30, Newcastle Thunder 20. We expected Newcastle to get right back on the horse this week, and lo and behold, North Wales Crusaders said, hang on there, boys, we've got something to say about this. And what a win. What a win for North Wales. Yeah,
it is. It's North Wales have got a great squad, and it's about them. We talk about consistency. It's about them trying to get a few wins together, a few performances where they're getting the points on the board. And if you catch a team that's the opposite side of that confidence, Newcastle now on the back of 2 defeats, they'll be looking at trying to get a victory themselves now because they've lost 2 on the bounce, and they'll be wanting to regain some confidence. So I think where Newcastle will struggle is their strength is also the weakness. It's that partnership with York and the people who are available and who are not available. So, if York are at full strength, then that strength filters down to Newcastle. If York need to drag a few people in, then that weakens Newcastle a little bit as well. So, that's going to be the adjustment they're going to have to make throughout this season. Absolutely. Patrick O'Van, he seems to be around for years. Incredible, and got a brace as well. And Depp Patton also in that game for North Wales. But no, well done to North Wales. I did expect a Newcastle win there. I know that you did as well, and it just goes to show, doesn't it? You can never take anything for granted in the great game of rugby league. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Right, let's turn our attention to the week ahead, of course. Officially week 5, isn't it? Of course, albeit the table's a bit all over the place in terms of how many games teams have played. North Wales, I mean, look, if they're ever going to go to London,
Probably now's the best time to go off the back of a win against Newcastle, even though London will go into this one favourites. North Wales should travel with a bit of a spring in the step, you'd hope.
Yeah, they shouldn't. They've got no fears going there. It's a game that everybody expects London to win. So they can go down there full of confidence after the last few weeks, how they've played and the results that they've got, and they can go down there and give it the best shot. But you would be expecting that London would be too strong on that occasion. But London have got a few injuries themselves, haven't they? So hopefully for North Wales' sake, they can go down there and give a real good account of themselves and see how far they can take London deep into the game to try and get the victory. The longer it goes on, the closer it is, and the more nervous London might get. But if you're a betting man, you would be expecting London to win that game on home turf.
Perhaps a more difficult one to judge is Batley against Swinton. I think Batley at home would probably start as favourite in this, but like I say, Batley not the greatest start to the campaign this year thus far. Same for Swinton. Both of these two teams will want to put on a really good show. This has got the potential to be a good tight war of attrition, hasn't it?
It has on paper. Like I said, Batley haven't won a game yet in the league this year. They've just brought Ronan Dixon in from Halifax just to strengthen that middle unit for them. I think Batley have probably got too much on paper, but you don't win games on paper. It's all about performances on the field, and certainly Swinton, they'll be looking at bouncing back from that performance and that loss last week against London. You would expect Batley being experienced championship campaigners, they might have a little bit too much for Swinton, but it's two teams that are not in a great deal of form that are looking at getting a victory on the board. So it's got the makings of an exciting game, but I would potentially say there that Batley being on home, being at their own ground and using the conditions to their favour, they might be too strong.
Yes, absolutely. Doncaster, they'll be taking on Salford at Donny. All of these are 3:00 kickoffs on Sundays, just for clarity. The London game, that's on Saturday at 7:30 in the evening. All with the exception of the Midlands game, which is 2:00. All the other Sunday games will be kicking off this weekend at 3:00. I do love a Sunday 3:00. Fantastic. But yeah, Donny taking on Salford. Salford, of course, heartening win. But to go to Donny, this is going to be a further test, isn't it, for Salford?
It is, yeah. Again, we spoke about Doncaster, the squad depth that they've got, the quality they've got in their squad this year. You expect them to be around about the top 3, top 4 in the table this year if everything goes well for them. But yeah, Salford confident after getting their victory against Hunslet a couple of weeks back. They'll be looking at trying to double that one up as well. But Doncaster have had a week off. Hopefully, they recalled Bureta Faraimo and he can go and play for them this week, and we'd have to contend with him. But we'll see what happens there.
Bureta watch. It's a new Bureta watch. Loving it stuff. Well, let's get to your game. Obviously, Hunslet, brilliant win. They'll be delighted with that. If Faraimo is there, and like I say, you might have your hands full on that edge. But like I say, we saw, as you've already mentioned a minute ago, Salford took us by surprise. You've got your 2 wins. And like I said, you left points out there. I genuinely believe that at the weekend. This has got the makings of a real good game, hasn't it? I think this is going to be a cracker.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Hunslet have got some great players in their team, and I think maybe some of the results that they've had this year has been a bit disappointing for them. But getting that first victory will just give them that little bit of confidence. I thought they were really, really good against Rochdale. I've watched that game, and I thought they were dominant from minute 1 up to the last minute, and they could quite easily score a few more points out there as well. But they'll be fully confident after that victory. And I think for us, we need to make sure that we back up the performance against Barrow. I've said to our guys in training last night that there's no point getting up for a game against Barrow, who were top of the league, unbeaten, and doing what we did, and then turning up half-cooked against Hunslet and getting beat at Hunslet. So we need to make sure that we prep as well as we did against Barrow, come with the same respects that we gave Barrow, that we're going to give to Hunslet as well, and expect the best version of Hunslet this week, which there's no reason why they won't bring that. So we need to be on the ball 100% this week to hopefully get 3 out of 3. But, if we turn up half-cooked, as we've seen already in the league this year, if you do that, then you're going to get beat. So we need to be on it.
Well, if you turn up for each other like you did in defence this week just gone, we always say games are won on defence, and your defence was very, very impressive indeed. Any injury concerns going into the game, Craig?
No, we've got a clean bill of health so far from this week. Jack Bussey's returned to training this week. He's not done any contact as yet, so we'll do a little bit of that tomorrow night, and he might be available this week. It might be a week too soon for him, but he's back in training. He trained last night pretty much full 100%, but we didn't do any contact at all. So we'll assess him tomorrow, and then he might be in contention for the game at the weekend.
Fantastic, wonderful stuff. Keighley Cougars keeping Cumbrian. They welcome Workington Town this week. They'll be looking to back up with another good performance and win, won't they? They'll have earmarked this for 2 points. Yeah,
definitely. And they've brought a few people in as well to strengthen their squad. Bringing Ron and Michael from Bradford, he'll certainly toughen that middle up for them and give them a little bit of quality. So they'll certainly be looking at getting a bit of consistency now and getting another win on the board.
Absolutely. Then Midlands, they welcome Oldham. We mentioned Oldham a moment ago. It's littered with, like I say, a quality roster that Oldham have got. But Midland are in good form, and they're nobody's mugs. Again, because it's at home, this has got the potential of being a really tight game as well. Yeah,
I think this is a game of the round, mate. I really do. It's one of them that it's a toss of the coin. If whoever plays best on the day is probably going to win this one. And he said Midlands, how they've performed so far this season, barring the one game, they'll be full of confidence and playing at home, unbeaten home, as you say. And Oldham are struggling for a little bit of form and a little bit of consistency. It's got the hallmarks again of a real good, close game. And I think, like I said, this is the tie of the round for me.
Yeah, we then move across back to Cumbria. Whitehaven are taking on Rochdale this weekend, and I think Rochdale will be very, very disappointed with their defensive efforts at the weekend. For me, in the first 3 games that they played this season, defensively they looked pretty secure. So to concede so many points against Hunslet will have really upset them. They'll want to, of course, throw some shape and try and get some points on the board this weekend against Whitehaven. But defensively, they'll want to shore up the frailties that they showed in that game against Hunslet.
Yeah, definitely. If you're conceding 40-odd points, you're not putting yourself within any chance of winning the game. And how the start, I think it was 22-0 or 24-0 at half-time, something like that. The game's pretty much done at that point, So they need to start the game better. They need to get their head around the long trip up to Cumbria, and it's going to be a long day for them. They'll be looking at a better performance this week. From our point of view, we've got Marcus Green out there on loan at Rochdale, and Reece Butler's going there this week as well to get some game time. So that'll certainly strengthen Rochdale's lineup. And as we mentioned previously, Anthony Mirabit looking at hopefully getting their first victory for them as well. And the best chance that they've got is playing at home. So again, hopefully from a Whitehaven point of view, they can have a bit of a better performance than they've had recently.
Absolutely. And then finally, the Battle of the Vikings. Before we get into this, when Goole first came around, I was surprised that they were the Vikings, with the Vikings already being there. It did surprise me that was allowed to happen. But the fact that it has happened, from a marketing perspective, it helps a game like this, surely, because you can really get behind that. Like I say, the Battle of the Vikings, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, is it something? Is it the Vikings that were in that area? I don't know. Is that where they've got the name from? Who knows? But yeah, it's unless it is that, then it's a bit of a strange one. Why they've already gone with a moniker that another team have already got. But as you say, yeah, it's a good idea for that marketing to get the game publicised this week and against 2 teams that are in real good form. So again, all marks of a real good close contest potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you just said it. I'll tell you what, you might have upset a few Widnes fans there. It was almost like you were saying Goole are the real Vikings in a marketing kind of way, Craig.
No, I'm not upsetting anybody, mate. I've turned over a new leaf this year. It's a new me. I'm not upsetting anybody. I'm on the fence.
You're a lover, not a fighter. Love it.
Yeah,
happy days, mate. Happy days. Look, it couldn't be better in the fact that the league table is so tight. We've got 6 teams on 6 points, and then underneath that, we've got another 6 teams on 4 points. This is what you want in professional sport, isn't it? You want a league table after 4 rounds, and not everybody's played yet. So even that is skewed a little bit because, when you consider the fact that North Wales, Doncaster, they're on 4 points, as are yourselves. You've only played 2. Yeah. So in that respect, it's a really good feel for me that the competition is so tight so early on. Even London, everybody expected to just go away. Yes, they played a game less, but the rest are keeping up with him. It's a tight league.
It is, yeah. And as I said, I said earlier, that's why it's really important that if you can get a little bit of form and a little bit of consistency, you can get 4 or 5 victories on the board. It just shows how far you can pull away from some teams, because everybody's going to be taking points off each other. So it'll be concertinaed around that sort of mid-table point for teams battling to get into the playoffs, maybe the last 2 or 3 positions in the playoffs. So for us at Sheffield, it's massively important that we start the season well, or continue the good start that we've had to get the points on the board, because everybody's going to have a dip in form at some point. And if we can get that consistency at the start of the season and get some wins on the board, that when our dip in form comes, either through injuries or performances or whatever it might be, then it might give you 2, 3, 4 weeks where you don't necessarily need to be on your game all the way through the season. You can get through that dip in a period of form where you can then come through the other side and still be in a very, very similar position that you were before that dip in form.
Absolutely. No, it's fantastic. Before we go, let's tip our hat to some people that are hitting milestones this weekend. If Will Lovell plays for the London Broncos, it'll be his 200th game for the club. That's nice, isn't it?
It is, yeah. He's been a stalwart down there for London, club captain for a number of years as well. Good to see him hopefully get that 200th appearance.
And then at Midlands, Lewis Else could make his 100th appearance in his career. John Luke Kirby, also 100 for his career, which is brilliant. And if Kieran Dixon goes over twice, it'll be 200 tries for his career. So some milestones there in the Midland Games.
Yeah, there's 200 tries in a career is absolutely huge. And I think if Kieran Gill gets another one, that's 150th for us. I believe I might be right with that one. I might have made that one up. I don't know.
Is Kieran for
career tries? Is he on 149? He scored at the weekend. Did that take him to 149?
That is a great question. I think it might. You've got me on that. I'll have to check that. I haven't got that to hand.
You need to do your research a bit better, mate, for next week.
No, it is. No, sorry, no, he is. Kieran Gill. My apologies. He is. He basically needs one more try for 150. Absolutely, I can confirm that. He scored 3 for you thus far, 75 for the Bulls, 2 for Batley, 49 for Newcastle, 4 for Cass, 15 for Oldham, and 1 for Oxford. It's like I knew you were going to ask me, but there you go. So he's there, and he's going to be in. Doncaster, Salford, Watson, Boas, 1 appearance for him if he plays. It's 100 for Donny.
Right.
So that's nice. That's nice for him.
I didn't realise he'd been at Doncaster that long, to be fair.
Yeah, Dan Abram needs 4 goals to reach 500 in his career in your game.
Hopefully, he won't get that.
Hopefully, yeah. I wish you well, but not this week. Happy days. And then the Battle of the Vikings. Jack Orton, he could make his 150th appearance in his career. Nick Gregson, also 150. And Tom Gilmore, get this, needs 2 points to reach 1,000 career points, which will be quite a milestone. So
that means he's got to score a try though, because he's not kicking keighley at the minute, and knowing Keighley is not a prolific try scorer.
He'll score now. I'll remind you of that next week.
Yeah, he might get 2 drop goals. That might be the best way for him to get it.
Well, maybe. But hey, absolutely fantastic. I love a milestone, because what these players do for our entertainment is worthy of note. And when they reach these milestones, it's right and it's appropriate that we give thanks for the service, and we hope they have wonderful days. Great for the families, isn't it? When they reach these milestones, it's lovely for them and the families that they get a day that they can celebrate their careers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great for the players, and that milestone game. It's sort of built up during the week, but I think as you say, it's massively important that the families are recognised, whether it's mums and dads who have been taking them to the junior games all the way through from being a kid up to the pro game, or whether it's the wives and the partners and the kids that sacrifice the time during the week and on the weekend to allow the people to play the games. You've got to be selfish to be a sports person, because the commitment that you've got to show at training and away from training to do it in your own time as well. It's just massive, and you're giving up weddings, you're giving up family holidays during the summer, you're giving up birthday parties, everything else that goes with being a semi-professional sports person while also working full time. I think it's important that we recognise the people that allow us to be selfish.
Couldn't agree with you more. Right, in closing, your Sheffield side, your points difference is good. If you get a win against Hunslet, there's a big chance you could be. I'm going to go what? Well, looking at this, maybe top 5, maybe top 4 at the end of the weekend. If you got a good win,
no pressure.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Mate, I take a 1 point victory.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not bothered. I'm not fussy. I'm quite easily pleased, me. So a 1 point victory would do me.
So as long as you're on 6 points, everything else can fall as it may. Is I think what you're saying. But no, mate, what a fantastic whistle stop tour that was around the championship. Great chat yet again. We wish you, as always, mate, nothing but the best. We'll be taking a keen interest in your fixture this week, and of course, we get to do it all again next week. On behalf of everybody who watches Super League Raw, Craig, thanks again for your time. Go and watch your Championship Rugby League, ladies and gentlemen, because there's going to be some great games this week in the Championship. From myself and Craig, we'll see you next week. Bye for now.